keep it as, natural as possible.
Okay, you still want me to line it up though, right? As far as like on the cheek, or do you want me to leave it completely natural?
Nah, you can line it up. Now we can do like the fade.
Okay.
And then with the vertical bars.
Okay.
I want it, you know what I'm saying? I want it to be, straight.
Yes, sir.
All around.
Yes, sir.
As much as possible, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, just do your thing, bro. I trust you.
All
I
right.
got you.
I'm gonna plug you in, brother. I got you.
What is going on, YouTube? It's your boy Nevin the Barber, and I'm back again with another barber tutorial today. In today's video, we're going to be going over a high drop fade with waves on top. So first things first, I'm going to go ahead and take my number 1 guard with the lever all the way open, and I'm just going to begin cutting the crown area of my client's head all the way down to 1.5, making sure that I cut the hair with the grain. And it's very important that you guys do this whenever cutting wavers. You got to pay attention to the growth pattern of their hair. That way you don't cut into any cowlicks. So now that I have that step complete and I have the crown area cut down to a 1.5, I'm gonna take my cyborg trimmers, and these are the newest drop from Gamma right here. This is actually the first haircut that I'm gonna try them. So like I said, since this is gonna be a high drop fade, I'm starting this first initial bald line right at the top of my client's C-cup, also known as the point of reference. And I'm just gonna begin dropping that guideline towards the back, right underneath his occipital bone. That way when we fade out this guideline, it'll still be right beneath that bone in the back. So now that we have that initial first guideline set, we can begin the next step in the fade using no guard, lever all the way open on the Gamma Instinct clippers. We're going up about an inch with this guideline, and we're gonna follow it with the 1.5 guard, or I'm sorry, the number 1 guard all the way open, which is equivalent to the 1.5. And again, we're taking this guideline up about an inch. And to blend this guideline into the crown area, I'm just gonna cut the hair with the grain right there at the parietal ridge. And you guys can see how it just lays the hair directly into the 1.5. So now that we have that guideline blended out, we can erase our middle section using the blur guard, also known as the half guard, all the way open. And I really like this guard right here because it actually opens all the way up to the 1.5 length. And when it's closed, it cuts down to a half. So this can really bring your fade to life if you know how to use it correctly. Always remember that when you guys are cutting hair, the fade happens from the 0 to the 1.5. So that's really where you want to pay the most attention to using your half guard and no guard, just doing detail work. And before I erase my last guideline, I always like to come back and line up the front as well as the vertical bars. And you guys can see I'm just tapping it, keeping it as natural as I can right at my client's natural hairline. For one, nobody likes a pushback hairline, and 2, just remember the more natural you guys keep it, the longer the haircut will last. And my client did request enhancements on his haircut, so I'm gonna go ahead and apply some semi-permanent enhancement right at that same natural line where we used our trimmers. And now that I have that complete, I'm gonna come back and erase our last guideline using no guard, lever all the way closed, again on the Gamma Instinct clippers. And I would highly recommend these clippers as well. They're very light, very powerful and durable. If you guys do want to save some money on them, feel free to use my code NEVIN10 at the Gamma website checkout. And I'm just gradually opening my lever 1 notch at a time, just attacking any last dark areas that I see. And you guys can see that I'm going section by section on my client's scalp. That way I can really just get as much detail as I can as I go throughout blending out the last guideline. And little by little, you guys can see how that guideline is starting to fade away and blend into the rest of the fade. And it's just all about using the corner of your blade and detailing out any last dark areas that you guys see. As long as you use this system correctly, you will get a nice blurry fade. Just be patient with it. Some clients' hair texture may be a little bit thicker than others, so always watch out for that. And like I said, just pay attention to the growth pattern. Some hair may be growing out in different directions than others, so always keep that in mind whenever you guys are blending out certain areas. And if you guys have learned anything in this video so far, please be sure to smash that like button and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I do drop weekly barber tutorials, and I just enjoy showing my method and trying to help anyone out as much as I can. So like I said, if you're not subscribed, feel free to hit that subscribe button and let me know in the comments if there's any haircut tutorials that you guys would want to see. And for this last part in the back, I'm just doing the same exact steps, gradually opening my lever as needed. And you guys can see the fade's already looking nice and blurry. I always try to shoot for not knowing where the fade starts or ends. And in order to do that, like I said, you guys just want to have a nice clean transition between each guideline. And here I'm just flicking out the stubble with my trimmers after I've gone over it with the Gamma Uno shaver. And just going over the edge up one more time. It's very important that you guys comb through the hairline and go over it multiple times. That way when your client goes home and showers, it's still gonna look nice and crispy. So now that we have the left side complete, I'm gonna go ahead and do the same exact steps on the right side of my client's scalp. And it's very important that you guys do drop the guideline in the back, otherwise the occipital bone is going to be sticking out by the end of the haircut. So now that we have that guideline complete, I'm going to go ahead and follow it up with no guard, lever all the way open. So this is cutting the hair down to a 0.5 length. And basically initially what we're doing is we're just setting in two guidelines going up, and then we're coming back down, blending them out. So we have our trimmer line, our 0.5, and now we're going to create our next guideline with our one guard all the way open, which is our 1.5. And like I said, after we have these two guidelines set, we're just going to come back down and blend each one out. So to blend out this guideline we just created, we're going to come right back down, cutting the hair with the grain right at that parietal ridge and at the occipital bone. And if you guys are still noticing a faint line, just close the lever one notch at a time and it should blend straight into the 1.5. So now that we've blended our 1.5 guideline into the parietal ridge and crown area, now I'm going to go ahead and take my half guard all the way open, and this is just going to blend out that middle section, blending the 0.5 into the 1.5. And I'm just closing my lever one notch at a time. And every time you guys close your lever, you do want to be sure to shorten your cutting stroke, only because it is going to be cutting the hair at a little bit more of a shorter length. So just keep that in mind every time you guys close that lever. And that guideline is almost faded out. You guys just want to be consistent with every cutting stroke that you guys are doing, and you'll gradually start to see your fade start to come together. So with those few simple steps, you guys can see how I achieve a nice clean blurry fade. And before I blend out that last guideline, I'm just gonna come in with my cyborg trimmers, cleaning up my client's hairline. And I do like to always clean up the vertical bars before I line up the front. And this is how I apply my semi-permanent enhancements, just using a card, or you can also use, just a small little business card. And you just want to apply the enhancements right at the same trimmer line that you guys created. And this is a semi-permanent dye which will last at least 2 to 3 washes. And in this case, you guys saw that my client did have light corners, and the enhancements really just make everything pop that much more. So after I put the enhancements, I'm gonna come back with my trimmers, just hitting it one more time, making sure that everything is nice and crispy. Now that that's complete, I'm gonna come back and erase that last guideline using no guard, lever all the way closed. So the clippers are cutting the hair down to a 00 length right now, and we're just gonna gradually start to open the lever, opening our cutting stroke little by little. And this is really just gonna bring your fade to life right here. You guys are just finishing up blending out that last section. And I really like using this fading technique right here, only because you guys won't find yourself struggling blending out that last guideline or pushing up your fade too high. And I do just like to use the corner of my blade when doing this. I feel like I can get a much more precise cut rather than using the full blade. And you guys can already see how blurry that fade is starting to look. Like I said, this is my personal favorite cutting technique, and I did create this method on my own. I've tried tons of different techniques, and this one just seems to work the best for me. Not only is it very efficient when it comes to time, but it also works on every hair texture. So now that I got that complete, I'm gonna come in with my Gamma Rebel shaver, just cleaning up all the stubble down to the skin. And you guys want to make sure you don't go too high when using the shaver, otherwise you will create a spot in your fade. And after I use the shaver, I'm going to come back with my cyborg trimmer, just flicking out any last stubble that I see, getting a nice transition from the skin into the fade. And one more time, going over my client's lineup. And I always like to go over the flyaways whenever I cut wavers. I'll always take my trimmers and cut the flyaways. And this really just makes the waves pop that much more. Just be careful, of course, that you guys don't dig into your client's scalp. And you guys can already see how much more the waves are starting to pop after I've cut the flyaways. And I'm just gonna go in with my visionary razor, cleaning up my client's edge up. Whenever you guys use the razor blade, it's very important that you always stretch the skin. And my client did want to keep his beard as natural as possible, right on his cheek. And it's very important that you guys consult your client whenever lining up the beard or even the front. Some of them may just prefer more of a natural look. But like I said, in this case, my client did want me to line it up, but just keep it, natural right at his cheek. And now I'm just gonna come back doing some detail work. I always spend at least 5 to 10 minutes after I'm done with the cut, just to really, refine my blend and get it looking as clean as possible. Not only will your client appreciate this, but it will increase your chances of retainment. So it's always important that you guys, like I said, you go back and detail your work. And I went ahead and leaned my client back, that way I can get the razor blade up against the grain of his hair. And one more time with my trimmers, just going over my client's hairline, ensuring that I could get it as crispy and sharp as possible. But that is about it for today's haircut tutorial. Again, if you guys learned anything in this video, please be sure to smash that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. But it's been your boy Nevin the Barber, and I'm out. I'll see you guys in the next one.